What is going on, family? It has been a minute. So, basically, I'm making this video to kind of play catch up on a lot of the time that has passed and what's been going on. Quick summary, I'm not going to go into depth about the last year plus that I have not been posting and what all has been going on, but this is just a summarization of what I've been through and for the most part why I stopped recording. Let's actually start there. So the main reason I stopped recording when I did was the fact that I was running low on time and energy, compounded with all the things that I was doing for trying to function as a normal human being while attempting to rehab from double knee surgery and make all of the appointments and doctor's visits and rehab facility visits and gym visits and all the other craziness and ridiculousness that went with the process of my recovery, which is still ongoing. It has been 2.5, almost 3 years now, and I'm still not back to quote-unquote normal. Granted, I may be looking at a new normal in comparison to what was going on before all of this went south, but it is what it is. I am still in a process where I am not what I would consider a fully functional adult. Insurance might consider me a fully functional adult. The state might consider me a fully functional adult. I'm not really a fully functional adult. I still have ways to go to have normal functionality, or at least what we consider close to normal functionality in my legs. So that was the main reason for the initial slowdown and then complete halt of recording. Being able to have time to do the recording, do some editing, post up videos, so on and so forth. I stuck it out with the business form of social media for a pretty solid period of time up until recently. Last 6 to 8 months or so, things have been hit or miss with my social media business posts, and in a lot of cases non-existent, just because making time to do that and getting other things done that needed to get done have been a thing. I do apologize for the general noise in the background. I am running my machine at the moment. While I do this recording, I'll give you guys a quick view. Got that going on. I may or may not edit it out. We'll see. It really doesn't matter. So yeah. I apologize for the noise in the background. I am engraving while I'm recording, so, trying to get things done for the next show that I got coming up, because I got to leave town in a couple weeks and head down to Indianapolis. Anyway, my intention at this point, because my main focus has been rehab and trying to stay afloat, which has been an extremely interesting challenge. I do apologize for leaving you guys out of that challenge, because there's a lot to be said and a lot to be learned from my experiences, but I just didn't have the wherewithal to keep you guys informed, and I'm sincerely sorry for that. I sincerely apologize. So, anyway, roughly for the last 2.5 to 3 years, give or take, maybe 6 months in general, the bus has been down. The bus has been dead. I had a situation where it just stopped running on me in the middle of driving when I was going to a local event. Luckily, I was at the event and pretty much in the parking lot when the bus died, and I haven't been able to get it up and running since. I have no idea what's going on, and I have not had the finances to afford a mechanic, a diesel mechanic, that can look into it. Unfortunately, that's the downside to having a diesel vehicle. They may be considered bulletproof, but when you finally get a bullet to go in that thing and it doesn't function, it will cost you an arm and a leg to deal with. Just point blank, plain and simple. So there's a trade-off. There's a general trade-off. They can survive through a whole lot more, and they can be put through a whole lot more, and they can function for a much longer period without needing repair. But when they do need a repair, you are pretty much buying a new vehicle as far as the overall cost is concerned. So keep that in mind for those who are looking into getting into van life, bus life, truck life, whatever. That is a give and take there. You will have fewer breakdowns, but you will have much more expensive breakdowns. So with that said, yeah. Since then, I'm currently on my second vehicle outside of the bus, because the last van that I had met with some very unfortunate drama, which is what put me in this current situation. That being it being totaled when I got hit on the freeway, oddly enough, on my way to a job I was working on my day off. I went in on my day off to help out the boss and never made it. So yeah, since then I was able to eventually get my hands on another minivan a couple years ago, and I've had that since. It's been somewhat reliable. I've been able to do what I need to do, and the times that have been the most difficult where something broke down, I've been able to have a miracle come my way and get the help that I've needed when I've absolutely needed it. I am somewhat lucky in that regard, because other people, I'm sure, have had issues with their vehicles and no one ever helped, and they lost their vehicle and lost their livelihood and everything else. But I've been able to skirt by and maintain that to some degree. Just barely, but we're making it happen. So all of that said and done, moving on to the current and the future. The current and the future is I have shifted things under a new business name since my old channel, and I'm compartmentalizing things a bit. So the main business channel is Custom Processing Unlimited. That was a name I came up with in regards to my initial primary business, which is still technically my primary business. It's just not my main business at the moment. But that being electronic repair and custom computer building, so on and so forth. Basically, all around IT. So that channel, moving forward, if I put any content on that channel, it's definitely going to be something in regards to me repairing a laptop or a cell phone or a tablet or something along those lines, building a computer, whatever. The new channel, which is going to be the main channel and is the current bread and butter for the business, and what's keeping me afloat and functional, is going under the name Nomadic Lasers. The current and future endeavors in regards to Nomadic Lasers is as such. I'm in the process of I currently have a minivan. I'm in the process of acquiring a larger and more functional vehicle for my overall purpose. That being to build out essentially as a mobile workstation and somewhat of an RV. More so a mobile workstation than anything else. I don't really need much room for my personal life. I don't have much of a personal life. I'm fairly minimalistic when it comes to that. I don't need much for myself, but I need a ton and a half of things to make the business work, because I'm always looking to innovate and expand and improve what I do for a living, because I do what I love for a living, whether that's IT or laser engraving, and I prefer to pour myself and my finances into that versus pour my finances into myself. I don't really get much out of pouring finances into myself. So, tangent, moving on, back to the main subject at hand, that being mobile workstation and RV. So, I've kind of decked out my minivan to be a makeshift RV, somewhat workstation setup. It's really not anything worth showing you guys at the moment, mostly because it's an unfinished product and I'm constantly in motion when it comes to my shows, so it's not really in a condition worth sharing. Eventually, when I get the time and help to properly organize things and lay things out so that it's as efficient and functional as it should be, then I probably will share. If that doesn't happen before I get the next vehicle and get that decked out and so on and so forth. Preferably, I'd rather go through the effort of that first. As far as that's concerned, the purchase, for the most part, will be on the channel. And the process of building it out will be on the channel, as well as, and this is all on Nomadic Lasers, as well as any footage that I have done and I'm going to do in the future of me laser engraving and doing shows, some of the traveling in and of itself, different things happening at the shows when I am able to do things at the shows, just the general content of me being Nomadic Lasers. That's what's going to go on the second channel, and, well, I should say the new main channel. And that's what you're going to see more of, more than anything else. I'm considering doing a third channel that is more focused on the personal side of this whole endeavor, because it will be technically a van life channel. Excuse me. It technically will be a van life channel because I'm living van life. So, I mean, it'll probably migrate into a bus life channel when I get the vehicle that I'm getting, or, you know, whatever vehicle that it is. Anyway, semantics and tangents all aside, I'm eventually going to be managing a total of 3 channels, and I figure it won't be extremely difficult, primarily because what I'm going to be recording will fit where it fits when it is recorded. So I'm just going to do what I've been doing for the most part, record what I can, and manage everything that I record and upload it where it's supposed to go. Generally speaking, you know what I've been doing so far already. Just ramping up the amount of content that I'm recording, because one of the other sides of the slowdown for content creation in and of itself has been my phone has been outdated, and I'm just recently replacing that phone with the one that I'm recording on right now. It's nothing special. It's a knockoff phone. It was just something that was within my budget that gave me the ability to have a secondary device to record with and make content with and allow me to function again, because my other one, not only is it outdated and I'm starting to reach that point where apps will not install or update, but it's also full. The memory card that I had on it was 64 gigs, and that's full of content that I have not had a chance to migrate over to my laptop yet to free up space, as well as the internal memory being roughly 32 or 64, I forget which, and that being, I think it's 64 gigabytes of memory, and that being full. So when making the purchase of this phone to do my recording on, I made it a point to get something that had 128 gigs of internal memory, so that I at least doubled the amount of internal memory that I'm working with. And then I bought a half a terabyte SD card so that I had plenty of room to over time fill with content, as well as allow me to edit on this device versus the other device, because it also came with more RAM. I believe it's double the RAM, the actual RAM. The old phone is 2 gigs, this one's 4 gigs, but it also has the ability to convert up to 12 gigabytes of the hard drive space into technical RAM space. I forget the term off the top of my head, but the tech guys know what I'm talking about. Everybody else just know that, technically speaking, when I switch the function on, I have about 16 gigs of RAM on this device versus the 2 gigs of RAM that was on the other device. So being able to record, edit, and upload things as necessary is going to be a whole lot easier on the new phone versus the old phone. Not only that, I have all of this free space to fill again like I had on the old phone, so I can basically start over from scratch as far as that's concerned. And really, what I'm most likely going to do is make room on the old phone to transfer the files once I'm done with the editing on this phone, so I can then upload the content to whatever social media platform that I'm gonna send it to. But doing the workload on this device and making that device just the push device, basically, I figure that's gonna make life a little easier on me. So yeah, that's the nuts and bolts of what's happening moving forward. I've been, for the most part, doing pretty good about recording general content with the laser engraving while I've been on the road. Anytime I had the time and availability to, when I'm at a truck stop or a Love's or a rest stop or just some random park, you know, as long as nobody gives me any grief about doing it, I'm setting up shop and engraving whatever I can or need to engrave for the next upcoming show or next number of shows, or covering the commissions and custom work that I do on the side. So the majority of content is probably going to be that more than anything else. Probably going to be, I would say, 60-40 random spots on the road, me engraving stuff, and different shows. This is content of me at different shows, whether it's my view of the crowd from behind the booth or video footage of the booth itself, or, you know, whatever. So yeah, that's going to be the main thing when it comes to that channel. It's going to be the journey, the portion of the journey that is Nomadic Lasers, where I'm following the course of life that I'm leading as a nomadic entrepreneur who has chosen laser engraving and cutting as their profession to do while functioning in van life. With the Custom Processing Unlimited channel being the IT side of things in that same respect, and then another channel that's just the van life stuff. So if I decide to record me cooking a meal or just having a relaxing day at the park or whatever, or, you know, Q&As about what I'm doing, how I'm making it happen, and so on and so forth, that are not related to the business stuff will be on that personal channel. I haven't come up with a name yet. I'll figure something out. I'll figure something out. I'm not really worried about it. But yeah, so that's the long and short of what's going on with me for now and for the future. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, for those of you who are actually paying attention and care, it's a struggle, but it's a manageable struggle for the most part. My unique situation has a bit of an extra annoyance to it because I have the van life situation, but I also have a shop. And with that shop comes expenses to keep that shop functional. Now, to be totally honest, the general intention is to migrate away from the shop so that I can eliminate those expenses, because those expenses are a good portion of why things are just barely making it versus me actually being able to thrive or function comfortably in my situation. I'm not going to get into the minutia of the situation, but let's just say for the number of shows that I do per month, which is usually between 2 and 4, if I can pull off 4, I'm pulling back on that a little bit this year because it's just difficult to do so in my current condition. But for the number of shows that I do and the income that I get from my shows, I'm just like, I'm a catastrophic issue away from basically having to start over from scratch. I'm just gonna keep it real. Like, if somebody totals my van and they don't have insurance, I'll be on here a whole lot more because I'll have a whole lot more time to make content because I won't be going anywhere. But anyway, y'all get what I'm saying. Things are not bad, but they're not great either. And I would rather do the migration of taking the shop and mobilizing it and dropping the brick and mortar of the shop so that I can kill those bills versus hoping that my customer base will rise to the occasion and allow me to make a level of income that makes this fully comfortable with no questions. Just my experience has told me over the last 10 years that that's not going to happen. I need to cut off the fat, minimize the expenses as much as possible to kind of reset that gauge and rebuild. If I reach a point where my income is starting to really generate some form of savings and some form of cushion, then I may revisit the concept of having a shop. I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. But yeah, the shop's gonna go at some point. Hopefully by my choice and at the timing of my choice. But the universe doesn't necessarily guarantee that, so it is what it is. Anyway, long and boring video. I've pretty much said what I needed to say. There's really nothing extra to add to that other than I hope that moving forward, after this drawn out and boring explanation, we're just gonna keep it real, boring explanation, that I can focus more so on the more interesting and fun content, that being of the engraving and just the going places and doing things and meeting people and just showing off the experience and all of the adventurous parts of said experience. So I'm looking forward to doing that as well as recording that. So I'm hoping that moving forward, the majority of my content gets to be that, and there's as little of this as possible. because I don't want to sit here and just rattle off at you guys constantly about what's going on. Whether I'm complaining or talking about having a great time, it really doesn't matter. I would rather just show you footage of having a great time. I'd rather just show you footage of what's going on. I don't really care to talk like that. So, other than the occasional video like this here and there, or me doing voiceovers when I do videos to explain what's going on or what have you, I'm going to focus on the content. I'm going to focus on showing you guys cool stuff that I make with lasers while I'm making them with the lasers. Whether that's long form video or short form video, I'm probably going to do a little bit of both. I'm just going to be honest. I don't see a problem with doing a quick clip of a couple of dice trays that I make, or a cell phone stand, or even one of my wallets or what have you. But also, I know there are people out there that appreciate the long form, half hour, 45-minute, hour, 2-hour videos, just showing the machine making the cool stuff. So I'm going to record as much as I can across the board and produce for you guys what I can as I can. And that's pretty much it. I'm hoping that this leads to a solid following. So, like, share, subscribe, the whole nine. You already know the explanation when it comes to that. Click all the buttons, do all the things, and help me grow. But I hope that it leads to a viable channel that people appreciate, because on one hand, I'm not doing anything particularly unique, but on the other hand, the series of things that I'm doing combined is a very unique setup. Because who else do you know that runs a business laser engraving, or an IT business for that matter, and specifically does it out of their van? Who do you know that does that? How many people can you count on your hands that drives around the country to random locations and sets up their laser engraver in a parking lot and makes coasters or keychains or earrings on the fly? As of right now, me. So that being said, that's the kind of content you're going to be seeing, on top of when I'm at these conventions, and just the kind of crowd that you will see at the different conventions that I go to, because I do all manner of conventions: anime, gaming, comic cons, furry cons, pony cons, whatever. I do not discriminate. As a matter of fact, I try to be as inclusive as I can, which, as time goes on and you see the things that I make, you will see that in my content. I consider myself a pretty funny guy, but a lot of it is very comedic and joking, but a good portion of it is solidly meant to be inclusive as much as possible, because I am the kind of person that feels that we should be spending more energy enjoying each other's company versus hating each other and fighting each other. So I'm going to do my best to leave everything related to politics out of all of my channels, really, but out of this channel in particular, because it's business. My business does not revolve around politics. So I'm not going to forcefully make it revolve around politics. This is pretty much the majority of what you're going to hear when it comes to that. There's going to be offhanded comments here and there. You gauge what you want to assume or consider or think about me as a person when it comes to my political leanings. I don't care. I'm not going to sit here and give you a breakdown of that, because one, I don't want to have any arguments with anybody. So to minimize that, if I don't tell you what my leaning is, then I don't have to worry about any of you giving me grief and forcibly starting hostile conversations over it. If you get a glimpse of it and you want to start a hostile conversation, that's cool. You'll probably get blocked. I don't care. But I'm going to minimize the opportunity for the hostility as much as possible, because I don't need to hear it. It's not what this is about. Anyway, all of that to say, welcome to the new channel. I hope you have a good time here, and I hope you enjoy watching me travel the country to go from convention to convention, making cool stuff with lasers. Until next time, you guys have a good one, and I look forward to seeing you again. Peace.